In the time of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, there was no lights in the masjid. We have become so accustomed to all these things that when one light goes off, we can't function. Everything comes to a standstill. So I remember once there was a program taking place in Greytown. Hazrat Maulana Inspector Saheb rahmatullah alayhi was having a majlis there, and during the course of the majlis it started raining. There was some lightning and thunder, etc., and the lights went off. Now everybody goes into like a panic situation. Lights are gone. But Hazrat rahmatullah alayhi just continued exactly how he was speaking. He continued the same tone, the same topic, like as if to say nothing happened. And when he had completed the talk, then he said that now those of us that became perturbed and we started worrying about where the lights are, and we lost our concentration. So that was from Shaitan. Shaitan used that condition to turn our attention away from Allah Ta'ala, to put some ghaflat into us. So Shaitan used that opportunity. So the lights will come, lights won't come, but let us rather continue. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم قل إن كنتم تحبون الله فاتبعوني يحببكم الله ويغفر لكم ذنوبكم والله غفور رحيم صدق الله العظيم. عن عبد الله بن عمر رضي الله تعالى عنه قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يكون هواه تبعا لما جئت به أو كما قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Alhamdulillah, with the fazl karam and ihsan of Allah Ta'ala, we are gathered here in the company of our asatiza, our mashayikh, and we make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept this gathering of ours. Allah Ta'ala make it a means of our hidayat. Allah Ta'ala make it a means that we get connected with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we come back to the sunnah of our beloved Rasul Pak sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Our Hazrat Maulana Inspector Saheb rahmatullah alayhi, he used to mention sometime in dua also and sometime in the majalis that we have drifted so far. We have drifted so far that we have even lost sight of the shore. We don't even know which direction we're supposed to be heading in. We don't even know where the shore is. So far we have drifted. So this is our situation. I'm not generalizing. Alhamdulillah, we have our pious amongst us, but I'm talking for myself. This is our situation, that we have, in our simple language, they say we've totally lost the plot. So I just want to go through a few aspects for my own benefit, make some muzakara. Let us look at certain aspects in our lives which all of us go through. So the first thing we look at, birth. When our children are being born, each one of us, we want to have children. So look at this whole concept of birth. We have been fooled into thinking that in order for a child to come into the dunya, you have to have a theater, and you have to have a hospital, and you have to have so many nurses, and you have to have a doctor and gynecologist and everybody on hand. Otherwise the child can't be born. Now we have adopted this method, whether it is the learned amongst us, whether it is those of us like myself, we are not too learned, but because we've been told this, So a young husband, in fact, even before he gets married, when he's deciding now, I'm going to settle down, already his family members are asking him, but you took out medical aid. Say, why? He said, if you're going to get married, then you'll have a child, how are you going to afford to pay for it? Right. So this person, already now he got fikr, now he needs to take out a medical aid, because how is his wife going to give birth? So we have married this concept that has come to us from the Kuffar. And if you ask people, even learned people, that why don't you just do some home birth? So the answer given is too risky. These people who are doing home births, they are not educated enough. Right? But now let's go to the era of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu ta'ala. Umar radiallahu anh is patrolling the streets of Medina Munawwara while he was a Khalifa. Now we read this thing in Fazail Amal, we read it, but does it ring a bell? Right? Does it make us think? Does it make us bring about some changes? Right? So he's taking a walk, and then it's a lengthy incident, but the long and short of it is that there was a family, a lady was in labor, they were making their way coming to Medina Munawwara, and the lady has now, she's gone into a condition that she has to deliver the child. Umar radiallahu ta'ala goes home, he gathers a few things, and he mentions to his own wife that, do you want an opportunity to get some sawab? And then he tells her what the situation is, and he takes her and goes. And she goes there and she assists the lady who was in the tent. Umar radiallahu anh is outside, he is preparing something, some food, and the lady is in the tent. Umar radiallahu anhu's honorable wife goes there and assists the lady to have a child. And once the child is born, then from inside she says to Amirul Mu'mineen, Umar radiallahu anh, that give your friend the glad tidings of his son. So what we learn from there is, this was something that was common knowledge. Every lady at that time knew how to assist somebody to have a baby. It is something that is natural. Right? It's a natural thing. But we've been made so stupid, right, that you know what, to have this one baby now, you must have 30, 40 grand put aside. You haven't got it, you have to take out medical aid. Must get involved in a haram. And it doesn't stop there. When that woman is in the hospital, how much of behayai, immodesty, in front of so many nurses, she has to now, show her satar. And sometimes she is for hours in labor. She is kept in that position. And then it doesn't end there. When the child is born, we are told in our deen that immediately we must give azan and iqamah. Why? The first sound that goes into the child's ears must be the sound of the greatness of Allah Ta'ala. Iman billah. Iman billah. Iman on the nubuwwat of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Those are the first words that must go into the child's ears, which will penetrate the heart. But now what happens when that mother gives birth? You say, no, must take the child away, because but bitari now, she needs time to rest. Must take the child away and put the child in the, what they call it now? Incubator. No, in the nursing, they go like an ICU. Like an ICU for the children, must put the children there. And every one of these Kuffar hospitals, in that nursery, they are playing music. If the azan and the iqamah, which is going to be maybe a minute or two, a person can't give very long, loud azan in the ears of the baby. It's just going to be a minute or two. If that is going to have an effect on the child, that the iman is going to get deep rooted in the child. What effect is happening to that child's heart when that child is in that ICU for hours with the shaitani music being played? What effect is taking on the child? Then we want to know later on where I went wrong. Where did I go wrong in the upbringing of my child? So this is something that so many of us fall prey to it. Then this child starts growing up. Not too long ago, every child in every home, they wore the same type of clothing. Nowadays, there is so much of fashion even for little babies. For little children also, there is so much of fashion, so much of clothing. Young parents are being so deceived by kuffar culture that we have to make a nursery in the house. We don't have place for our parents in our home anymore because of this culture that we have adopted. But one room must now be dedicated to this masoom bachchu that is a shoebox size. One whole room must be dedicated a certain color scheme. All these things we are getting caught up with, and we are leaving our deen in one side. So that is just the birth of the child. You fast forward. Now, as soon as the child is, forget even 5 and 6 years old, the child is only 3 and 4 years old. Already we are deciding now which grade RR the child is going to go to. Grade RR. So while the child needs the mother's lap, the child needs the sabak each time the child goes to eat something, but you with your right hand. But you sit and eat. Now that is taken away. That is even if that was happening. And now this child is taken and put into a school. Why? My child must be given an education. What is education? Here too we've been fooled. That my child must be given an education. For a mu'min, what is education? Education is our dini knowledge. But that is put one side. The only thing we do is when the child is starting to learn to talk, we'll teach the child 1, 2 things which is alhamdulillah very good to show off by the nani and the dadi and every visitor that comes. See how he can read now. But you come read this, read that. And after that, all the effort is gone into putting the child into school. Today, let us ask ourselves that how many of us here, when we read Quran Sharif, we know what Allah Ta'ala is telling us in the Quran Sharif? We don't know. Most of us, we don't know. Now we'll say, no, you know what, I don't know Arabic. I don't know Arabic. So if I don't know Arabic, whose fault is it? If I don't know Arabic, yes, Hazrat Mufti Saheb explained to us that to read Quran Sharif, even without understanding, there is so much of reward, so much of merit. But I must ask myself, why don't I understand the message of Allah Ta'ala? Because what effort did I make to learn it? I took my child, or we were taken by our parents, and we spent 12 years in school. 12 years in school. 7 to 8 hours a day. If that time was given to deen, and then after finishing the 12 years, then too there's nothing. Now you must go to university. and go spend another 4 to 6 years. And we've become so intoxicated in this, that my success, my child's success is in this knowledge. My child's rizq is in that university degree. We become so intoxicated in this, that despite knowing, I mean, we are not fools. We know exactly what is happening there. But that nasha, that intoxication of this kuffar lifestyle, so no, it won't happen to my child. My child won't do that. And sometime one child in the house already became a casualty. No, but my second child is not. But my second child is not. But my second child is not like that. Second child, that won't happen to him or to her. And even our girls are put into those places. Even our girls are put into those places. With what heart can a parent take their daughter or even a son and put into those kind of places? And this nasha is so bad that even now, when we know full well what they are teaching the children in the school, all this filth of LGBT and all this, we know it's being taught in the school, but we're still sending our children there, because we have become intoxicated with this lifestyle. The child grows up and the child is of marriageable age. I'm not even going to touch on the zina that is taking place in community. Because we are intoxicated with these degrees, a person becomes baligh, 15 years old, the girl is baligha, 13 years old, and we put them into an unnatural environment where they have to mix. They are together all the time in besharam clothing, and we expect that nothing is going to happen. Nothing is going to happen. But let us fast forward, and now we come to the time when the child is now going to get married. Here again, so many people, they say, Maulana, I need you to perform my nikah. So by when is the nikah? No, December. So how am I going to know if I can perform your nikah in December? Where am I going to be? Whether we're still going to be alive? Whether you're going to be alive? Why don't you make the nikah now? Already the match is made. So why don't you make the nikah now? No, I'm busy sorting out the flat. She's still studying. She'll finish off end of this year. We're organizing this and we're organizing that. And the venue that we want is available at that time. So even the maqsad of nikah also is lost from the ummah. So why is a person getting married? That too we forgot. We're only looking at what the kuffar are doing. What do they call a wedding? What do they call a wedding? Then that's how our weddings must be. And even those of us who are connected in some way, whether it is through ta'aleem, whether it is through tabligh, whether it is through the mashayikh, tazkiyah, then even when we're having our small functions, because now the sheikh will come to know, Now I can't go in the hall now, because Hazrat is always speaking against it. So how am I going to go and do it? But we'll have it in the house. But everything what is being done there in the hall, we bring it in a micro form here in the house. Throughout the growing up of the child, the ta'aleem of the child, everything we are corrupting. The nikah of the child we are corrupting. Let us check our business values. What is that? As Muhammad Patesa Rahmatullah used to say, that when a person started off in life and he had little bit money, then he bought one black and white TV. Then when Allah Ta'ala opened his doors of rizq, Allah was kind to him, opened his doors of rozi. So how did he show appreciation to Allah Ta'ala? He went and bought a color TV. He made the screen bigger. He made the sound better. Allah Rabbul Izzat is giving him the rozi. And what type of thanks is he showing to Allah Ta'ala? What kind of gratitude is he showing to Allah Ta'ala? So, we spoke about this. Before that, train of thought was on something else. But with regards to our functions, take Eid function. Take Eid function. There was one youngster sitting for i'tikaf in Hazrat's time. And in i'tikaf, Hazrat was speaking about now this intermingling, and the families get together, so much of bepardagi, etc. is prohibited. So he wrote a note home, because Eid was going to be at his place. So he wrote a note to his parents, explaining to them, that see, this is what I've learned. You all advised me I must come and sit for i'tikaf, and this is what I've learned. And this year Eid is going to be at our house. So can we please have separate seating, Let the ladies sit somewhere else, let the men sit somewhere else. Now the same father who wanted his son to come and sit for i'tikaf, now the same father is accusing the son of breaking the family. No, where will the muhabbat be? How will everybody have muhabbat and sit together as a family? Now where did we get that idea from? From the kuffar. We got that idea from the kuffar. But we have adopted it in our life. This idea of weekend. So when it comes to the weekend, then even our mamulat also goes down, because it's weekend. Sometimes a person is wearing kurta whole week. Some weekend now his tracksuit come on. He come bazaar namaz with tracksuit. Weekend. Where did this culture come from? It's not our culture. Whether it's Monday, whether it's Sunday, is all the same to us. Why is so hard to take out a 3-day Jamaat? Because it's weekend time. So now this is prime time now. Family time, this time, that time. So it's become very difficult. So this concept of weekend, where it came from? In our week, our big day is Jumu'ah. And on that day we make even more ibadat. So our family gatherings also, in the name of family ties, in the name of Eid, etc., but all guna taking place inside. Qurbani time. Nowadays, this big farms offering services. Nobody wants to mess the house up now. You go to the farm. Then you get a lady. Sometimes she's in parda also. She says, no, it's mustahab. I must slaughter my own animal. And she's bending down there in front of 100 men to slaughter her animal. All namaharam men there. So what are we adopting? What are we bringing in? This culture of the kuffar has become so deep-rooted in us that even forget in normal things, even in our deen, we want to bring this culture of kuffar in our deen. You take a lady who is born into hijab. Right? Now she is supposedly a woman of piety. That's why she's going into hijab, she's going into niqab. But the way she wears her hijab, the way she is wearing her niqab, the way she is wearing that cloak, that it must get as close as possible to the clothing of the kuffar. So on the one hand, nobody must be able to say, I'm not wearing a cloak. My mother mustn't be able to point a finger at me. I can still remain an apa in the madrasa also. Nobody can say I'm not in cloak. But on the other hand, my dressing must go so close to that. As close as possible as I can get to that. Our kurtas are gone just the same. Our kurtas are gone just the same. A qameez, what we wear, the kurta, the qameez. Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam loved the qameez. If you read the definition of the qameez, so it is a loose-fitting garment. A loose-fitting garment, long sleeves, light on the body, and it must go below the knees, above the ankles. That is the definition of the qameez. Today the kurta also has become a fashion accessory. All different patterns, different designs, writings on kurtas also. The kurtas also have become designer. So we want to go more and more, closer and closer to that lifestyle of Kuffar. As close as possible, we want to bring it there. This Ramadan Sharif, somebody phoned me. Normally every year they do some distribution of some gifts to the underprivileged children in their area. So the person phoned and he said, "Man, I'm busy. I'm blowing balloons." So I said, "Bhai, you fasting? How are you putting balloon by your mouth?" They said, "No, I got a machine. Not blowing in the mouth. I got a machine. Got a lot of balloons I have to blow." So what? But it's Ramadan Sharif now. What you blowing balloons for? No? So he said, "No, this year we thought we'll make it special for the children. So with the gift, we're tying a balloon on the gift." Now this balloon, where it came from? So in everything that we're doing, everything of ours, right, we want to just go closer and closer to the way of the Kuffar. And as Hazrat Abdul Hamid Sahib mentioned, that this is a very, very dangerous thing. We are thinking, "No, I'm just doing this or I'm just doing that." But Hazrat gave the example of the train. He just moved one lever, and now the train is gone in a totally different direction. And this is exactly what is happening to us. And I want to conclude with something that I heard from Hazrat Ismail Islam Rahmatullah alayhi, and conclude on this, that one person, is a bit of a lengthy incident. Hazrat Muhammad Shullah Rahmatullah alayhi also mentioned it, Hazrat Akabirin also mentioned it. One person had passed away in Makkah Mukarramah, and some time later they wanted to recycle the qabr. You know how they recycle the qabr is there. So when they went to recycle the qabr, they found the body of an English woman in that grave. So they were shocked that, we buried this person here, was a local person, we buried him in this qabr, and this English woman, how did she end up here? How is her body here in this qabr? So there was a person there who was an alim, and he was from France. So this was, a whole talk now, it was a talk of Makkah Mukarramah there, what's happening. So this alim also went to see. And then he mentioned, this lady, she is from France. And I know this lady. She had accepted Islam. But her parents didn't know anything about her Islam. But she used to come home to my family to learn. And she shouldn't even partake of meals there because of halal, haram, etc. But now, what is her body doing here? So it's a lengthy incident. But on investigation they had found that this girl had passed away and she was buried there in France. This man had passed away, he was buried here in Makkah Mukarramah. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala moved that body out from here and brought that body from France here in Makkah Mukarramah. So some learned people, they decided that, not to expose the person's fault, but for our own ibrat, we must find out what is it that this man did That Allah Ta'ala took his body out from here. So they found out from his family. And eventually, his wife, she mentioned that he was a very good man, he was a namazi, he was a knowledgeable person, he had good, good character, etc. However, he had one habit, and I used to always warn him against this habit. And I'm afraid that it is because of that this result now has taken place. So she explained that whenever we used to have relation, then after relation he used to always say, hey, the Kuffar, they got it easy, man. They don't have to worry now about me making ghusl and all that. But he used to make the ghusl. Not to say he shouldn't make the ghusl. He used to make the ghusl. But he used to make the statement that they got it easy. It's so nice for them. And this was the anjam. One person came to Madinah Munawwara, and he tasted the yogurt of Madinah Munawwara, and he said that the yogurt of certain place is tastier. That night he dreamt Huzur Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, rather leave my city. If the yogurt of that place is tastier than the yogurt of my city, then leave, go away. Huzur Pak sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Abdullah bin Amr radiyallahu an narrated the hadith that Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam said that a person cannot be a believer, meaning he cannot have kamil iman, until his temperament is not in line with what I have brought. So Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq that we remain in the saya of our kamilin, because if we don't, slowly the way things are being chipped away, the way things are changing, and we are thinking everything is normal, everything is fine, and our children growing up, they are seeing a different picture of Islam. Because we're not preserving what was there before. We're not preserving. We are making small changes. They growing up, they seeing that that's what Islam is. Next generation. What is going to happen? If we're not going to stick to the asal, we will lose everything. Everything will be lost. So Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq that we we become muttabi'i sunnah, we follow the sunnah of Nabi Kareem sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We bring our lives within the parameters of the shariat. We become simple in our eating, our dressing, our homes, everything. Allah Ta'ala give us tawfiq wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah.